What's going on, guys? I'm back with some more NFL fantasy football for the 2012 NFL season. I'm previewing you guys my Week 3 matchup, but first getting around to showing you guys my Week 2 matchup, in which I had a very good week offensively, a week I thought I had a very tough matchup against, but I had Victor Cruz and Vernon Davis help step up for me. Drew Brees got me 26 points. Here is my team I had last week, 111.6 points. We have custom scoring. I think it's 20 points, nets you 1 point for a quarterback, and we also do decimals. I like it a lot more than standard scoring, so that's what I'm used to. And here's my opponent last week, who had Tom Brady, Stephen Ridley. He had Reggie Wayne play well, and pretty much all his players did pretty well, but my players just played better, and he had some guys on his bench that actually, if he played two players on his bench, he could have beaten me. But I was worried about his lineup a little bit because he had some great players, and I wasn't sure if some of my players would step up in the way that they would, but they definitely did. And one of the late changes he made to his roster was starting Alfred Morris over Percy Harvin, and in the end, it wasn't a huge differential in points, although Percy Harvin was the better option. Here is my bench last week. I'm not exactly sure why I had Roddy White on my bench. I just liked the matchups I had. I should have started him over Brandon Lloyd. He had 16.2 points. That was my only mix-up on the... I've only had two times this season where I could have picked a better player, and in the first week it wasn't really a big difference. It was like 0.6, and this week it was bigger because I had Roddy White, who did better than Brandon Lloyd, but still I had a very good week on fantasy football. I really focused on this draft on drafting wide receivers because I think they're more reliable than some of the running backs that were available, and so far so good for my offense, although I have had pretty bad running back play other than Doug Martin. And I picked up Kevin Ogletree and Donald Brown, not because I always think these players are going to do good after they spark in 1 week, but I just pick them up so nobody else can have them, and I'm not even playing them. I want them on my bench so nobody else can have them. I just hoard good players after they have a good week so nobody else picks them up, and if they continue to play well, then I'm just going to hang on to them, maybe play them later. But I don't need a backup tight end or anything like that right now. I can focus on that later when I actually have a bye week coming up, but I'm good for now. And here is my opponent's bench from last week. He had Trent Richardson, Percy Harvin, D'Angelo Williams. He had his bench players play very well, and if he would have played, I believe I did the math earlier, and if he would have played Trent Richardson and D'Angelo Williams, he would have beaten me by 0.2. So I guess he could have beaten me this week, but I also could have played a better player in the same situation. I could have played Roddy White instead, so I guess you have to offset that, and I beat him pretty handily after I thought I'd have a run for my money this week, but I got a 20-point victory, and I'm 2-0. And I will try to move to 3-0 this year with this matchup I have. I'll show you guys my opponent's team in a second. But this is my team. I'm going to be playing Roddy White definitely this week against that San Diego secondary. I have Antonio Brown against Oakland. I have Victor Cruz with Noakim Nicks against Carolina. I have Vernon Davis against that Vikings defense. I love my matchup this week. I think I'm going to have a big victory. I'm not even predicting a close victory. I predict 20 points or more I'm going to win by. And I'm going to show you guys my opponent's team here right now. And I believe I am already winning because Michael Turner has a DUI, and so we'll see if he gets docked any playing time, but I'm not really high on Marcus Colston. He's kind of a boomer bust player in fantasy. Miles Austin, you never know if he's going to stay healthy, but he has had 2 productive weeks so far. Julio Jones, not so much last week, but he's always got that big play potential. Rob Gronkowski with no Aaron Hernandez. He has Cam Newton against the New York Giants. So he has some good players, but I think my matchups and my players against the teams that they're playing against just have such a better matchup than my opponent this week, so I like my chances in fantasy to go 3-0. And once again, I was at it this week on the waiver wire. I picked up Danny Amendola and Daryl Richardson after they had good week 2 performances, but I'm not starting them. I'm just hoarding them so nobody else can have Danny Amendola and his 15 catches from last week. So I couldn't pick up another receiver. I was going to pick up somebody else. I forget who, but I have too many receivers, so I had to pick up a running back instead. I know Donald Brown isn't anything special, so I picked up Daryl Richardson, and I'll play him maybe if Steven Jackson does go down and he doesn't stay healthy, but I like my receiver situation. I don't need to start more than one running back other than Doug Martin, so I'm liking my matchup right now, and here's my opponent's bench. He has Demaryius Thomas, Beanie Wells, who I don't think much of in fantasy. He has Jason Witten, Sidney Rice, Pierre Garcon, Matt Schaub, and so yeah, he doesn't have a great bench. He has a couple players I would not have in my fantasy team, but I don't expect him to make too many more moves on his starting roster. I like the team he has starting against me, but I do not like his matchup against me. I think I'm going to go to 3-0 this week. I'm very confident in my fantasy team to put up some big numbers this week, But last time I got too cocky against this player in fantasy, I ended up losing the semifinals against them to go to the championship game, which was the week of the Miracle at the Meadowlands, and I had Deshaun Jackson and Michael Vick on my team that week, but it was a shootout. I had like 130 points, and he had like 150. It was ridiculous. So anyways, guys, that is my fantasy football matchup for week 3, and next week we'll see if I do any more action on the waiver wire. I'm thinking about dropping David Wilson to pick up somebody that I can hoard from somebody else, and no one's been offering me any trades, so I don't know. I just like hoarding players on my bench. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Leave comments in the video. Let me think about my fantasy matchup this week if I'm going to go to 3-0 and remain undefeated. One of only 2 undefeated teams in our 10-man league right now at 2-0. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.